everyone, today we're going to be spawning some fancy goldfish. Won't that be exciting? I've been waiting for them to go for quite a while, but they have been absolutely non-cooperative with me until today. So earlier today we managed to, or I caught one or two of the males pushing around one particular female. Now she is quite a young female, and where is she? Oh, she's at the back over there, all the way over there. She's rummaging for food. Yeah, so we managed to get some eggs out of her today. Here she comes, look, that one. It's just so pretty. So yeah, so let me take you along on how I spawn. This is how I do it. My fancy goldfish. Now, just a few little things I like to bear in mind, or I would suggest bearing in mind if you're going to spawn fancy goldfish. So, it doesn't take very long for the eggs to hatch. You're looking at around 3 to 4 days. So please make sure that you have the food available for the tiny fish. I like to use baby brine shrimp straight away for my fancy goldfish, so they're not, they don't need vinegar eels or anything like that. Just I use mine straight with baby brine shrimp, so that's all good. They're all hiding behind my head, which is quite annoying. They should be over here. Now they should be showing themselves off. They should be promoting themselves, and they're not. Yes, so make sure you've got that available. Also, you're going to need, or I use obviously a small tank. This time I'm using something slightly different within the tank, which we'll get to a little bit later on. You're going to need an air stone. My lord, I've been doing that all day. So thank you, my friend. Yeah, so you're going to need an air stone, and I use methylene blue. So methylene blue stains everything, so please be careful. I've still got stains on my fingers where I was using it earlier in the week. So if you're worried about that, please use gloves and be extremely careful. The next thing I like to bear in mind, which I don't have that issue particularly, it's normally planned, but the issues. So the particular ones I was spawning today was a randa to a randa, so that wasn't an issue. Please do bear in mind though that you can actually spawn any fancy goldfish, mostly with any other type of fancy goldfish. Any other body type is absolutely fine. The only thing I wouldn't suggest doing, and I don't do, is mixing tail types. So for instance, you've got the veil tails, which the arandas have, and then you have the straight tails, for instance, like my daughter's shabunkin here, who is a long-finned shabunkin, but that is still classed as a straight tail. So I don't personally breed a fantail goldfish with a straight-tailed goldfish. You can get some really screwed up tail types, and then obviously that can affect the way the fish swims as it gets older and into its adulthood. So obviously I don't want to be affecting the way the fish can manoeuvre around the tank. So I will not spawn a straight tail with a fancy, or with a veil, or butterfly tail, or whatever you want to call it. They're all basically the same thing. So no straight tail to double tail. Rule I use. Other than that, any other body type is absolutely fine. So it wouldn't be, I mean, I don't have pearl scales, for instance, but I have heard of someone crossing a pearl scale to a ranchu, and that's worked out absolutely fine. I've heard of people crossing a pearl scale to an aranda. It's worked out absolutely fine. So any body types are fine, but personally, I would stay away from the tail types just in case. We don't want to be messing up with the way they would naturally swim, if you could call this naturally swimming. I mean, all mine, in all fairness, managed to swim pretty well. I've got no real heavy hitters body type wise. She's probably my biggest at the moment, but she has obviously no problem swimming whatsoever. So let's get on with that, and I'll show you how I do it. It'll be interesting. Okay, so this is the setup I'm going to use for hand spawning my fancy goldfish. These particular ones are oranders, as I've said earlier. So what we've got is we've got one of my small breeding tanks, same ones as I use for the betas. We've got around 3 inches of water in it at the moment, and we've got, this time round I'm using a net, keep net. So the same one you buy from any fish shop. It's just a little net, and the idea is that it keeps smaller fish or other fish away from others. So it's a breeding net. The reason why I'm trying it this way, normally I would just spawn them straight into the tank. The eggs would fall down to the bottom of the tank, and that's where they stay. This particular one, I was actually having, last time I went down to go and see Daz from Daz's Koi Farm, me and him were having a conversation about elevating the eggs and whether or not it could be done the same way using this principle. So the idea is that obviously, you know, you keep the eggs off of the base to help prevent fungus. Now, luckily, I don't suffer that much when I do my goldfish with fungus, but obviously you do get a few. So I just thought, out of sheer curiosity and for science, let's see whether or not this is doable, and just give it a go. Why not? You know, can't hurt. So the idea is that once everything's been spawned and the eggs are inside the net, now the eggs are borderline, they're not quite small enough to fit through the meshing, so I'm quite lucky. So there might be some that fall through the mesh. On the other hand, hopefully majority of them will stay in. So the idea is that I'd spawn them straight into the net itself, and then what I do is, once the tank is situated back onto the racking system, I would then elevate the net and put a air stone on just underneath, rather than what would happen normally, which would be that the eggs would just go down to the base of the tank, and then I'd just put an air stone in, and that would circulate. The idea is, obviously, if I put the air stone underneath the actual net itself and let it go on lightly, virtually directly underneath the eggs, hopefully I'm going to get more water flow moving around it. Yeah, so let's give this a go. So that's my tank set up. Ignore the writing on here. Muppet here wrote it in permanent and not bold marker. It's okay. I know I can get that off with a bit of meth spirits, but I'm really not that bothered. Most of my tanks sit the other way anyway, so you don't sit. So let's get on with this. So I'm going to reposition the camera and then go and get said fish and let you watch how I do this. So let's give it a go. Okay, so we've got our female oranda in. I don't know how much of this you're actually seeing because I can't see the camera because I'm looking down here. So hopefully I've positioned it correctly, and hopefully you're going to get to see what I'm doing. So this is our female that we're going to be using today, that's all nice and laden with eggs. So basically what we're going to do, so she's quite calm, so that's always a good thing. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to pop her over onto her back, and basically all you do, and I don't know whether you can see, but obviously it's very difficult to do this. Right, so there's her vent. So if we watch there at that spot, are we seeing this? Let me just check. I think so. Okay, right, so what we do is basically you just very gently squeeze on her abdomen, rolling your thumb or your fingers backwards. And if you can see, we've got some eggs being released from now, which is excellent. It's just nice and gentle. There's hardly any pressure going on that tool. So, I mean, she's not that heavy. I have just caught them spawning, so I just thought I'd get this out there before they knocked all the eggs out of her that she had. She's quite a young female, so I'm not expecting anything horrendous. Right, so you just do that, and now all I'm going to do, I'm just going to allow her to right herself and give her a couple of minutes just to chill out. As you can see, that fish has not been put under. She's had no other form of treatment. I've literally just pulled her from the main tank into here. As you can see, there's no stress. She's not worried about it. There's no need to put her under, give her a sedative or anything like that. As long as you keep nice and calm, you support her correctly and basically go from her, then you won't have an issue. I know obviously a lot of people are concerned about how hard they are squeezing. Honestly, there is barely any pressure behind that at all. Sometimes you use, like I just did there, which is my thumb and my forefinger, which is just literally just to almost massaging back towards her vent. Other females, I've noticed, sometimes you just need your thumb across the top, so you're working from the middle down towards, and the males, it's the same way. When you're taking milk from them, exactly the same way. There's no different. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do the same principle again, and we're just going to see whether or not she has any more in there. I don't think she has, if I'm being honest, but we'll give it a go. Sometimes you might get one or two more that pops out. You can see, look, she wasn't happy about being turned at that specific point, so we'll just reset her. And she's happy enough that time round. No stress whatsoever. Yep. So we do have a few more. Again, not many. And the only reason why I'm almost doing this, like swishing her, it's to try and move the eggs around the water so they're not just falling in a big lump, because they are quite sticky and they will stick to surfaces. So obviously I don't want them sticking in clumps. For obvious reasons, you just want them to be scattered throughout. Now some people will put the males in first, milk them, and then add the eggs. You see, look, that's the other technique I do, so it's thumb down, but she's got none. So I'm gonna let her go. That's it, she's done. Yeah, so some people put in the male first. I prefer doing it female first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop her back into the main tank. I'm going to pull out another female that I also think might have some eggs. So we've got two different females, and then we'll start with the male. So let's see what we can do now. Okay, what I've done is I've just moved the camera and got a better light on the subject for you before I go pulling them out. I did just pull out the other female. Unfortunately, she's not ready to go yet, so that's not a problem. So we've got a few eggs in here. Now again, same with the betas. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to see. I don't know whether I can zoom in with my. Oh, I can. It's like my phone is in a tripod the other way round, so I can see what you're seeing. That's the idea. Okay, so we've got one there. Now can you see what I meant by the
the eggs are literally sitting inside the net meshing. Oh, that was my thumb on my finger, sorry. Just refocus. There you go. So literally that white speck. Refocus. Focus. Thank you. Okay, so that white speck right there is an egg. And now my torch is playing up as well, you know, just because it can. And we've got a few more over here. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a nice distribute of them over that net meshing. So hopefully that will work. Okay, right, this is the male we're going to be using. Same type. He's an Oranda. His wen on his head isn't quite as big as the females, but I like his colouring and his patterning and his body shape. So I'm not too concerned about his wen size. Like I said before, the female that I had actually had quite a nice, neat, large wen. Considering she is quite young, that wen is only going to get bigger and more prominent. So I'm hoping that her genes that way will transfer over, and then hopefully, I mean, he has got, he's not got a bad wen. It looks less than it is because his wen is white and his body is obviously that bright orange. So it's actually not as bad as it really looks, but still not the biggest wen in the world. But I'm not concerned about that. I'm not breeding show winning Orandas, so we don't worry about that. So I've changed the position of the camera. Hopefully then you're going to be able to see, because I don't know how much of actually getting the eggs out of the female you actually saw. But you definitely saw the technique I was using, and that's the main thing. You'll know if there's eggs coming away from the female. So, as you can see, these white dots on his gill plate. I don't know. Can you see the white dots on the gill plate? You might be able to. This is showing that he's ready. You'll also have them on the edging of this thing, and they're quite rough. So the same with koi or anything like that. It's going to feel slightly like sandpaper. That's showing that, one, he's obviously male, and two, that he is ready to spawn. So hopefully we're going to get a nice amount of milk out of this one. So it's literally the same principle as with the female. So we're just going to see if we can encourage him calmly, which he's not so calm. If I'm being honest, he's a bit naffed. He's a bit naffed off about the whole situation. You can see, look, there's eggs flying about all over the place in there. That's not a bad thing. You're not going to hurt them. He's not happy. See, when they start doing this, if you manage just to turn them over without, you know, hurting them, once they're upside down, they chill out. So let's see if I can get this in the middle of the camera for you, so you can actually see what's going on. So let's see if we can get any out of him. So it's the same principle now. I don't know whether you're seeing that. There it is, look. So that is the milk. So same principle. So you do a little bit. You just gently massage down his side, a little bit out, and you just waft. Use his towel basically just to waft it around the tank if you want. And actually, I found that if your fish is starting to, because you can feel it in your hand when they're starting to sort of clamp up as if they're going to move. Just by doing this gently, it actually relaxes them out a little bit more. I don't know whether it's a bit like a chicken when you turn a chicken upside down. Probably not. But it works with mine anyway. So yeah, same principle. We're just going to keep doing this for a while, because obviously you want as much out as you can. So now I'm going to change my finger position and just gently rub down. We've got a bit more. Like I said, sometimes it works one way or the other. Sometimes you've got both. He's quite a big male. He's very good at producing this stuff for me. Oh, sorry. So he's quite happy to allow me as much as I want. So as you can see, the water's now going that milky colour, which obviously means that, you know, we've got milk in here. I'm sorry, I've got something stuck in my throat today. And it does not want to shift. No, we're just going to go for a couple more bits. Because I can feel that he's not greatly impressed with this situation. But again, I don't sedate mine. I don't do anything. I allow them to let me know. I mean, he's not fighting me. He's really not fighting me. Look, it's not like he's stressing, but I can tell that in a minute he's going to go, I've had a bloody enough now. Let me up. You can see the tail twitching that little bit more, so he's definitely starting to get aggravated with me. So we're going to use this as the last one. And I think that was a good one to end on. Up he goes. Yeah, now I know there's probably some people out there thinking, is that going to encourage swim bladder with fancy goldfish? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? I haven't found that it's done anything with mine. They're quite happy. As you can see, he's actually now a lot more chilled than he was previous. So you know, he's now just looking for food. So that's it basically. So let me just pop him out and put him back in the tank because he's done. He's a good boy. He can go back and I'll give him all a snack. Because you know, you want food just after something like that, don't you? Okay, so that's it basically. It's in there. That is a nice cocktail. As you can, like I said, you can see now that the water has definitely changed colour. So what happens now is I'm going to leave this for around an hour, give or take, just to literally sit there with nothing in it, no movement, no nothing, just to allow any of the milk to actually connect to the eggs to help the fertilisation process. And then we'll come back and I'll show you what I do next. So I will pop back in a bit. Okay, so it's been roughly around time for everything to mix in. Now what I've done since then, which I you know, didn't think to record it because I thought, you know, you probably know how to do this. I've taken some water out. Majority of it literally all the way down to, you know, as bare minimum as I could, and replaced it with fresh fish safe water. And I've also increased the water volume in the tank as well. I've also obviously stuck it back on the racking system. I've added an air stone, so I've put it over there roughly in the centre of the net to make sure that everything's, you know, being moved around correctly. I've elevated the net using 2 stones, so one at that end and one at that end. So yeah, basically now there's one more job to do for today, and that is just to add the worst stuff in the world, methylene blue. Because if you get this on your hands, you look like a smurf. This is the second time this week I've had to add methylene blue to something, and I've still got stains on my fingers for it. So what we're looking for is just a nice mid-blue colour. I'll normally do it around 4 drops, but we'll see. Obviously that's going to depend on, you know, how much water you've got in the tank. So we're just going to allow that to disperse. Now please bear in mind, if you are using methylene blue, as I just said, it stains your hands, it stains everything. Everything is then ruined. This white net breeder is no longer going to be white after this process. It's going to be a light blue. Even down to the sealant on the ends of the tanks possibly will turn blue. everything turns blue. You will look like a smurf. So, there is your warning. Please do not spill it. If you do, it's not my fault. You will be amazed what I have managed to stain blue using this stuff. So, there we go. Now, what we've got to do is wait. It should take around 3 to 4 days for everything to hatch if they're going to. So, yeah. What you do from now as well is every day, I personally like to do water changes on this. So what you want to do is try and keep your water as physically clean as possible. So I will do a water change on this once a day. Because you obviously can't add a filter to this system in order to keep the water clean. Because, you know, the bacteria in your filter is going to be dead as soon as you add the methylene blue, because you also have to add the methylene blue every day as well. So you do a water change, you put clean fresh water in, so you take out the water that's in here, put clean fresh water in, add methylene blue again. You will keep adding methylene blue until you notice that the eggs have started to hatch. As soon as you do that, you do your next water change. Obviously at that time you're going to make sure that you want a gentle water in, water out situation, so it's almost just a drip feed. So obviously you don't suck up or damage any babies, so you want to do it as gentle as possible. I will be showing you that pretty soon, because I show you that in a beta fry care video. So there you go. Tips and tricks for all of them. Yeah, so there you go. So we're going to do this. So we're just going to change the water once a day for 3 to 4 days until they start to hatch, and then basically you do exactly the same, but you stop adding the methylene blue. As soon as they start to hatch, cut out the methylene blue, just do plain water changes, and everything is fine. So hopefully we're going to get some viable eggs out of this. Like I said, the female is, I believe actually this might even be the first time I've used that female, so we will see whether or not the eggs are viable. I know that the male's viable because I've used him for spawning before, so the only questionable one in this is the female, and obviously sheer luck, because lady luck plays a big part in this as well. So there we go. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed watching me spawning the fancy goldfish. Hopefully, if you was interested in doing so, hopefully that's helped you somewhere along the line in, you know, understanding or just wondering in, you know, how do you hand spawn a goldfish? Well, that's how I do it. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions or comments, drop them in the section below and I will get to you when I can. I try and get to you straight away, but sometimes obviously, you know, I'm at work, I'm sleeping, I haven't heard the phone go beep. Sometimes it hasn't gave me a notification. I've just, you know, worked out from 2-3 weeks ago, someone left me a message on an older video and I knew nothing about it. So, you know, hey ho. Yeah, so hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you next time on the next video, which hopefully will be a update on the baby betas and how I care for them when they're so itty bitty. And now, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to have itty bitty baby orangas to be looking after as well. So it's all go. It's all go in my world lately. It's all go. I've got all these babies hatching, and I'm out to all the koi things, and it's just manic. It's absolutely manic. But I am enjoying it so much. It is unbelievable. So really looking forward to my next big adventure, which is going to be amazing. So anyway, I'm going to lovingly leave you. So hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, bye bye, be careful, be safe, and enjoy your fish.